Recently, I've been thinking about how people like the Fire Emblem failbase only care about if somebody has talent in every aspect, and won't care otherwise. And in general, it really bothers me. Of course, here's a quote said by our favorite elitist GipFace, or GipFail as the case may be, that both proves how moronic it really is, and summarizes why the whole thing is so stupid. I stated earlier that it's probably essential to hire graphic artists if you want to make a serious attempt at an advanced curriculum. I was right. Yeah, see any problems there? I sure don't. Here's the big problem going on. GipFail is seriously expecting a strategy game to have a considerable focus on aesthetics, just because everybody else does. Never mind that Days of Rune's level design is terrible by being schizophrenic with missions like crash landing, which upset the pace, managing tedium like with Whale on Flies again, and just plain not rewarding the player with the feeling that things that they have learned throughout the game have managed to be useful. Oh wait, I'm talking about gameplay. Well, guess what? That's the bloody point of a game! Seriously, even if you are right to think that the underlying problem with something is aesthetics, how about, how about instead you expect each person to be good at everything? That's only going to result in anybody who tries anything suffering burnout from the stress. But here's the best part. These sorts of idiots think that doing nothing is actually helping them by being trolls. That's funny. So I can help homeless people by taking their food. And I was actually entering a guy down in his luck by letting him stay on my face. Gotcha! That insane troll logic does nothing to take into account that everybody has weaknesses in addition to their strengths. Even worse, it encourages a society that rewards vanity instead of teamwork. It is inherently flawed because it leads to everybody trying to kill each other. For what? Some cheap short-term self-satisfaction working with equally cheap self-deception? But just in case the pride before a fall business isn't the problem, may I point out that the individuality itself is another reason for teamwork. Even if you look through all 7 billion people on the planet, you could probably count the number of people who figure out that defensive power should be used to set the bar for creativity on one hand, and that would be if you are including me. It doesn't change that my opinion is still valid enough, since I do make effort to avoid letting biases get in the way, and I can still tell you why defensive power should set the bar. But I can leave that to other commentary of mine, because I do regularly talk about game balance. Now, people can claim me to be arrogant, and be doing so to try to tell me that I should put up or shut up. How about them, in their own filthy, judgmental hypocrisy? I even showed the topic where GipFail's comment came from a friend to a friend on Skype. I was intending to talk about the quote, but it was near the bottom of the topic, and the friend did not get far into the topic to show disgust about GipFail's elitism, about how apparently players play a certain game just because they suck at games. And unfortunately, GipFail's brand of elitism is harbored by so many other people, simply because they miraculously get the right to step on whoever they like. Well, yeah, they do. And I'd want a marriage partner to show just flat obedience. Seriously, I would just love to see the situation where I would regret saying what I just said in my very tone right at this point. Especially when people say that you should only care about charm and not bother with value. If I'm tempting fate, so be it. But honestly, whatever happened to people working together? I thought that was supposed to be encouraged to help things like God complexes. I know this society certainly rewards hubris, or instead of the idea of so much as breathing a word about one's own weaknesses in the interest of teamwork. You want to know something? When I reviewed Super Mario RPG Revolution 3.0, one of the things I took issue with, which I actually told Waller D himself about, was the defender business, because the cloak and domino fight which it replaced was simply more interesting. I seem to recall pointing out that defender could have been moved to the clerk fight so that cloaker and domino could be brought back. Of course, nothing was done about it, despite my own idea, and lo and behold, a heavily critical review of Super Mario RPG Revolution, not even by me, actually had Defender being one of the issues they didn't like either. I'm not going to claim to be the poster boy for creativity just because I am for encouraging it, but I am making my own game. As we're on the topic of review, I can't help but notice that the reviewers found that things went downhill after Mac. Like, they take issue with Bowyer's Revolution design being so sterile for what it replaced, so something I ironically didn't notice. So I decided to message the video maker so that he could be involved in quality control, because he does show signs of making sure that the quality of gameplay would be consistently good. And then there's this guy I know in real life. I talked a bit about the game with him, and he asked if there would be field-piercing arrows in response to one of my anti-kiting ideas. And upon review of that idea, I decided that, yeah, actually a good idea. Sure, it would have to be checked heavily because ranged armor ignoring is self-explanatory. But I don't want archers feeling chimped against the standard for armor guys, or armor guys being able to just play defense against everything. I just want ranged guys unable to pull auto-win shenanigans like unstoppable kiting. Meanwhile, I also talked with somebody online I recently befriended who pretty much comes up as a Genki girl, and she gave me an idea for how to handle a cliche I'll be using in my story. You'd be surprised what sort of twist I'm coming up with from it, but trust me. But yeah, her idea alone gets somewhere. And of course, Mario Mastar and a friend on Skype who's a Dungeons and Dragons buff. Yeah. Point is, I'm actually listening to people. Sorry I have my share of problems, but who are these elitists like GipFace and Ed Hominumkin, aka Raltrios, as well as the Fire Emblem failbase, to judge? I at least acknowledge and care about my own flaws. They most certainly don't with theirs. And that's where they are ultimately the ones who are pathetic by their own standards. They hide from their own flaws, rather than try to master them.